in the warm, dusty heart of Kumasi, where the rich smell of roasted plantain hangs in the air and traders' calls echo all day, lived a humble food seller named Kofi Boot. His small wooden stand, a tiny kingdom of flavors, sat by the roadside, shaded by a wise old mango tree. Every single morning, before the city truly awoke, Kofi would light his fire. He'd cook fragrant woki, its deep color, a promise of a hearty meal. He'd fry fish until it was perfectly golden and crisp, and prepare a spicy Shito sauce that brought a tear to the eye and joy to the soul. He wasn't just cooking for customers. He was cooking for survival, hoping to earn enough to feed his aged mother and younger siblings waiting at home. Even though his pockets were completely empty, Kofi carried a spirit richer than any gold. He was the kind of person who treated everyone with respect, whether it was the bus driver, the beggar on the corner, or the busy women at the market. He even showed kindness to complete strangers. He had a simple saying he lived by: kindness is free. He truly believed that God rewards those who give without expecting anything in return. But so far, life hadn't exactly rewarded him. He was still struggling, still poor. Yet, through it all, you would never, ever hear him complain. His faith and his kindness were the only treasures he needed, and he shared them freely with the world, waiting patiently for the day his good deeds would finally bear fruit. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. Have you ever felt so lost and alone that you didn't even have the strength to ask for help? That's exactly where an elderly widow found herself, sitting by the roadside with nothing left. Her eyes were hollow, her stomach empty. Just as despair began to set in, a young man named Kwam walked up to her. He didn't see a stranger. He saw a mother. "Ma, have you eaten today?" he asked softly. She could only shake her head, too weak to speak. Without another word, Kwame placed a warm, steaming plate of food right in front of her. "Eat, Mama," he said with a kind smile. "No payment needed. Just rest here." In a world that can often feel cold, Kwame's simple act of kindness was a powerful reminder that a little compassion can light up the darkest of days. There was a widow who hadn't felt the warmth of kindness in years. One day, a stranger offered her a warm meal. As she ate, tears welled up in her eyes. Each bite was more than just food. It was a taste of love and compassion she had long forgotten. She savored every moment, feeling a connection she thought was lost forever. When she finished, she looked up with a heart full of gratitude and whispered, "My son, wherever he is, I pray that God blesses whoever helped me today." This simple act didn't just fill her stomach, it filled her soul with hope. It is a powerful reminder that what we give to the world often finds its way back in the most beautiful ways. Kwam was the kind of person who always had an extra plate at his table. Feeding people was just what he did. It didn't matter if you were a traveler just passing through, someone down on their luck, or just plain forgotten by the world Kwam's door was open. He saw it as his simple duty, his way of returning the kindness life had shown him. But one day, a widow came to him. She ate quietly and left with a soft thank you, just like many others. Yet, long after she was gone, Kwame couldn't shake her from his thoughts. There was a quiet pain in her eyes, a heaviness that felt different, deeper. It was like a book with the last chapter torn out, a story that was far from over. And he knew, somehow, he had to find out what it was. Weeks went by, and life in the village settled back into its usual rhythm. Kwam was working harder than ever, a man driven by some unseen force. He was up before the first rooster crowed and would unrest until long after the crickets started their nightly song. His days were a blur of sweat and toil. But one morning, everything changed. A strange energy crackled through the air, a buzz of confusion that rippled from hut to hut. Then they saw it, a convoy of sleek, black SUVs, more than 10 of them, slicing through the quiet morning. They roared down the dusty main road, kicking up thick clouds of red earth that choked the air. Everyone froze, their hearts pounding. Who were these people, and what could they possibly want in their small, forgotten village? The entire village seemed to hold its breath. Doors creaked open as people poured out of their homes, their eyes wide with disbelief. Gleaming luxury cars, the kind you only see in movies, rolled slowly down the dusty main road, a sight so foreign it felt like a dream. They had never seen anything like it. The convoy came to a halt right in front of Kwam's humble food stall. His heart pounded against his ribs, and his hands, usually so steady, began to tremble uncontrollably. Then, the car doors opened. Men in sharp, black suits emerged, their movements precise and intimidating. They scanned the crowd, their gazes sweeping over the stunned faces, as if searching for someone. Kwame felt a cold knot tighten in his stomach. Why were they here, and what could they possibly want with him? The village watched, silent and waiting. A massive SUV, the largest anyone had ever seen, rolled to a stop, kicking up dust on the quiet village road. The doors opened, and out stepped a man, tall and impeccably dressed. Everything about him screamed wealth, but it was the watch on his wrist that truly stunned the onlookers. A single glance told you it was worth more than every house in the village combined. This was Nana Kofi Apaku, the billionaire businessman whose name was whispered in boardrooms across West Africa. He was a phantom, rarely seen in public, so his presence here was more than just a surprise. Was an event. Every time he made an appearance, it became front-page news. The villagers watched in silent awe, wondering what could possibly bring such a powerful man to their humble home. Kwame, a young man with a big heart, certainly didn't. When he saw a frail, elderly woman on the street, hungry and alone, he didn't hesitate. He shared what little food he had, offering her comfort without expecting anything in return. But fate had a surprise in store. One day, a fleet of luxury cars pulled up, and the billionaire stepped out, looking for Kwame. Confused and nervous, Kwame confirmed his identity. That's when the elderly woman he had helped stepped out of the car, transformed. "This is my mother," the billionaire said, his voice thick with emotion. "You helped her when she was lost and vulnerable. You saved someone precious to me." It turns out that one simple meal wasn't just an act of kindness. It was a lifeline that led to an unimaginable reward. Kwame's just standing there, totally stunned, when Nana's mother comes up to him. She takes his hands, and her voice is just a whisper. She says, "My son, this man, he fed me when everyone else abandoned me. He gave me the will to go on. He saved my life." And then, get this, the billionaire, Nana, bows his head to Kwame. Not some fake gesture, but real, honest-to-goodness respect. He looks at Kwame and says, "I came here for one reason. My mother wanted me to thank the man who saved her. So, whatever you need, just ask. Anything. Nothing is too much." Wow, what an incredible moment of kindness coming full circle. It just shows you never know how a simple act of goodness can change everything. Kwame just stood there, completely shocked. He stammered, "Sir, I didn't do anything special. All I did was give her some food." But Nana shook his head with a firm, knowing look. "My boy," he said, "sometimes the smallest act of kindness is what sparks the biggest miracle." The villagers gathered around, their eyes wide with disbelief as Nana laid out his incredible plan. He wasn't just going to help Kwame, he was going to transform their entire village. He announced he would rebuild Kwame's small food stall into a beautiful, modern restaurant. Not only that, he would pave the village roads, fix up the old schoolhouse, and even bring in a system for clean water. And the best part? He would hire dozens of villagers to work on these projects. All of this massive wave of change, started from one simple, kind gesture to a forgotten widow. In just a few months, an incredible transformation took place. Where Kwame's humble little stall once stood, A beautiful new building now rose, shining under the sun. Engraved above the entrance were the words "Mama's Table," a tribute to the widow he had so selflessly helped. The news of this heartwarming story spread like wildfire. People traveled from cities far and wide, not just for the delicious food, but to witness the place born from a single act of kindness. Kwame became a respected figure, not for his newfound wealth, but for showing everyone how compassion can truly change destinies. The widow was a frequent visitor, her face always radiant with a smile, her heart full of blessings for him. The village was transformed. Children, once idle, joyfully returned to school. Farmers, who had struggled, received the support they needed to make the land thrive again. Women, empowered and determined, formed their own businesses, weaving new futures for their families. The blessing rippled outwards, spreading wider than anyone could have ever imagined. It all started because one man refused to let his own poverty stop him from being kind. His simple act of sharing became a legend. The story of the poor man who fed a widow and ended up feeding an entire nation with hope. For generations, people repeated the words the wise elder Nana spoke that day. Kindness is never wasted. It always finds its way back multiplied, overflowing, and life-changing. The story of Kwame teaches a powerful lesson. True wealth isn't money or fame. It's the kindness we give freely, especially when we have little ourselves. In a world that often ignores the poor and forgets the elderly, Kwame reminds us that compassion is our greatest gift. He fed a hungry widow, never expecting anything in return. Yet, that simple act of kindness planted a seed that transformed an entire community, healed a broken family, and opened doors to blessings he never imagined. This story shows that kindness always comes back to you, often in bigger and more beautiful ways than you could ever expect. When we choose to be good, even in tough times, we start a ripple effect that can change destinies. Kwame's life proves that a single act of kindness might just be the miracle someone is praying for, and the very blessing that changes your own life forever. Thanks for watching.